All right, today we're gonna talk about the science of a Baja trophy truck team's pit.
It looks like they're settling out. Chris Polvoorde back on course, out in front of Tim Hurst. What a smoking fast pit crew. Getting double thumbs up from Chris Polvoorde right now.
All right, so behind me we have the box truck. So Baja racing, it's very different in that we can pit anywhere essentially, whether it's remote, side of highways to a point, or just kind of, you know, nice in a nice flat meadow. You just never know. And we build these support vehicles to go out to every pit and service them. This is one of our biggest. We call it the box truck internally here, but we have other ones that are more light duty, F350s that are equipped with all the supplies, but more of that kind of light go fast. This is kind of our home base for our main pits, stuff like that, because it's big, it's bulky. It's four-wheel drive. We still take it in some pretty remote areas, but we're gonna dive inside this and show you everything that it has. So just diving into the box truck, we'll show you simple things: fire extinguishers, food, coffee makers, because these guys aren't spending a lot of time out there. But then we move into more important things and a lot of safety stuff. This one's got oils, rags, stuff like that. Jumping over here, we have bolts, all kind of miscellaneous supplies, abrasive, drill bits. You know, these are kind of your basic tool things. Come into here, our full tool box, integrated, filled with all kinds of beauties. But these are kind of your basic chase truck things, not what really makes it a pit support vehicle, which we will get into here. So inside here we have our Pressure Pro fueling system. A lot of people ask, how do we fuel these trucks so fast? Well, we have our own system kind of that's been developed for off-road. Now I think it's used for different things, but this is a unit called a Pressure Pro. We buy these. It is a pressurized fuel system. So this holds 200 gallons of fuel. So we fill it from the top, and then we use CO2 and we charge the system. From there, a big line comes out here with a vent. The vent goes into a big catch can, and then the main fuel goes in, and then that's what we plug into the truck. There's two parts to that. So this is, you know, obviously setting this up, all that is very big and very important to making sure it's not over pressurized. I believe we're only using 12 PSI, and I do want to note for this whole video, I'm never in the pits. I pull up for 30 seconds and check it out. So I do a lot of help in making pit stuff faster and whatnot, but there might be a little bit of things that are off. Just making that clear because I'm rarely in the pits. But 12 PSI, so not crazy amounts of pressure behind this fuel, but it makes it move very fast. I don't know the exact numbers, but we're doing 80, 90, 100 gallons in under 30 seconds, which is pretty dang quick when you think about it. That is a lot of fuel coming through this one line. What this is, so this is what they call the dead man valve. I'm not gonna pop it open right now because I don't know what's the deal with this thing, but this is a thing. So right now the fuel system is closed. If I move it here, it's spring loaded. It actually is kind of a pain. You gotta push it down pretty hard. That is what allows it to flow. So when truck comes into the pit, fuel guy goes running up, this guy opens, and this is called the dead man position, and the fueler's just holding on, and when he's done, he gives a head nod, this guy lets go, fuel stops flowing, and it's also gonna stop flowing to a point when he pulls the red head out, the way that's designed. But the reason they call this the dead man, this guy is basically, if stuff really hits the fan, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go, oh shit, and start running. Well, that's why it's on a spring-loaded thing and it's not on a valve. So when he lets go or panics, all he has to do is panic to do his job, and he does it right. Very rare opportunity in a pit, panic is good. He lets go, it's gonna stop the flow of fuel right here and not let it go into the pit in case there's a fire or something like that. This is the other side of the Pressure Pro from above. So this is a pressurized fuel system. We fill it with 200 gallons of fuel, and then we charge it with CO2. We use these connect to these little mini bottles down here. We crank it up, we run about 12 PSI through this system, and then it goes out and flows the fuel to the truck. It's really important, one thing I didn't say, is you can see on here that we can see the level of this. So this is really important for these guys to make sure to come back and do calculations after the truck leaves to make sure we took enough fuel. You know, because they might have thought it was full. We calculated the truck was going to consume 85 miles. They go here, or 85 gallons. They come here, they look, and they're like, well, we only gave it 60 gallons. Now we got an issue. We start doing calculations. Oh no, it should have been 85. Okay, now we're 20 gallons short. We got to rechange our pit strategy because Christopher's going to run out of gas. So, big part. Big. Filled with our VP racing fuels, of course, too. So that is our Pressure Pro system. In the past, they've used different things. This has actually become a lot safer and faster. So as we continue the flow down the truck, we have our radios, our PCI race radios in here, all of our, you know, little impacts and stuff for in the pits. Quick grab, the truck gets pitted right here. So we want these guys, if they need something, boom, boom. Very quick access. We do these nice cutouts. Jump into this final exterior bay is our welder, generators, and kind of our power plant that runs inverters and whatnot that run all of our systems here. And then in here we got shovels and all the batteries that run. On top we have a full viewing center, and then we also store more shovels, more axes, picks, stuff like that, because a lot of times these guys show up to a pit, like I said, it's very remote. We're putting in the bushes and stuff, so they kind of spend some time, make it nice and flat, clean it up so they're not rolling around in stickers all day. So now we're working our way inside. Like I said, this one is got a lot of supplies and stuff, multiple different jack systems, which we'll get into that. In here we just have miscellaneous supplies, crimpers, stuff like that. Fire suits for all the guys, helmets, extra radios that they put in their helmets, knee pads, gloves, you know, the safety stuff for these guys. And then this is usually filled with kind of driver supplies. It's like water bottles and other stuff. Then we move over here. We have our whole, we use all our decked deco bins, which are really nice. Everything, this has air guns, all kinds of different stuff throughout here. These are our backpack system, extra fuel, just miscellaneous things throughout for doing pits. Then in here gets filled with all tires and whatnot. This is our truck tire. And then this is miscellaneous pit board, stuff like that. All right, let's talk about tire changing. So like I said, there's many different ways. We have air backpacks. We also run it off air hoses. For our demonstration, I'm gonna use an old trusty one of these. This is what we use on the race car, but in the pits, these are not as fast. The speeds of the air guns are much higher. The reason you'd use a backpack is you're a little more versatile. No cords running every which way. So we usually set up, you know, the rears with more of the hoses, traditional hoses, and then the front guy can kind of jump if he's doing a front with the backpack. A tire changer's job is very important. If we're coming to a pit, we're gonna be changing at least 2 tires and fueling all the time. So these guys, there's a lot of pressure on them. And this sometimes can be the slower thing. Than fuel, depending on how much fuel we're taking on and stuff. So a lot of times when we're waiting for the pits, it's for these guys. So they have a lot of pressure. They do a lot of practice. We actually have tire changing simulators. We don't have one here where it simulates the rear fender of the trophy truck. It spins and they have to practice it. Because yes, this part is really easy to practice, but the actual lifting, getting it on when there's a fender there, is really when it comes crucial. These tires weigh about 150 pounds each, ready to race, which that's a lot of weight in an awkward package that they're trying to do on. So part of it, they're gonna use a speed socket. So as you saw there, you never lift. You're just wide open. With the air guns, it's a lot more intense, and it honestly sounds a lot cooler. But that's how they do that. When they pull this tire off, all these lug nuts are just gonna fall on the ground. They're gonna let them fly off. They're gonna pull the tire off. Most of the time, these guys are sitting on the ground like this. There's gonna be a helper that then rolls it. They roll it away, they roll the new one in. This is where it really gets hard in my opinion. With the way the fender is on the race truck, you can't just stand up and really lift like this. It's all kind of got to be a process. Like, it's got to be a more process. You get it on there, spin. Well, that's why these hubs, this one's not as, on the race truck, they're like a perfect, and then they're able to rotate, find the holes, and slide it in. I just got lucky. Did it like that. But that's really where a lot of the time can be made or lost, is right there. Versus the gun guys, they all get pretty quick, whatnot. When they go back on, the new tire is gonna have lug nuts glued on right there. So when they push it on, it'll get stuck, and it's a special type of glue, so it kind of, then the lug nut's gonna be sitting right here. I'll just put it like this. The lug nuts will just be sitting like that ideally, and then they grab their gun, make sure they change it back, and they, you know, they can just, but they do it in a lot faster, better way. That's kind of how a tire changer works. But they do have a helper that's kind of helping lift as they push on. And the biggest thing I want to note here is right now I'm doing it. It's nice, climate controlled shop, you know, no gloves or anything. When it comes in, the brakes, the heat, these things are scalding hot. If you tried to pick up a lug nut, it will just fry your fingers. So that's where it gets a little creative, because they're under pressure, they're doing this, and then everything is extremely hot. So they have a pretty important job. Now let's talk about the jack guy. This guy's got another very important job, and it's important he doesn't get in the way and screw things up. So part of the jack guy is he's working on the back of the truck. On the race truck, they're either feeling here or here. So the fuel guy and the jack guy kind of have to work in sync to make sure they're not stepping on each other's toes. And this guy's also got to get in there at an appropriate time. And we're all using similar type jacks. Some are airbags, some are cylinders, but for this example, we're gonna show this one. It's air driven. It's also running off nitrogen bottles and such. Kind of a high-speed dump, we'll show you, but they're gonna come in, fly in here. They gotta line it up under here. On the race truck, we have an air up, they can't miss. And they usually run a lot higher pressure, so they can pick up the truck a lot faster. We're here in the shop working with what we have. That's how it works. They're gonna be sitting here, and it's very important they work with the fuel guy and then making sure the tires, they're gonna be watching these guys, and they gotta drop the jack in time that is the tire guys have the tires on. They're usually waiting for a couple, they're listening and making sure each guy has at least a couple lug nuts on. They can still drop the truck when there's 2-3 lug nuts on, but you know, they don't want to drop it if they're not all the way on, because that means the wheel's not on. It's going to create issues. One of the big things where complications get is on the race truck, both tires sit here. Jack guy is here. So if we're re-racking because we had a flat out in the field, it gets creative here. We have to either work in, or we have to wait for this guy to pull out like that, and then the re-rackers can go in and re-rack. That's where things can get complicated depending on the pit, the strategy, etc. Jack guy though, it seems like a pretty simple job, but it can actually cause a lot of issues. They don't get under there fast enough, they don't lift the truck high enough, they lift the truck too high. There's many different things, and people might ask, well, why don't you just make it like certain thing? We're pitting in different locations all the time, so we can't just have a set lift, because sometimes in the sand, sometimes in the dirt, sometimes on concrete, we just never know. So it's very important that that guy has the judgment to pick it up, because as you saw with the tire change, it's very hard to lift. If the tire's this high off the ground, that's gonna make a huge difference for that guy trying to lug it on versus if it's that much, if it's off the ground. And then just coordinating with the fuel guy and everything, there's a lot going on in the back here. A lot can go wrong. Let's talk about the stopper in front of the race truck. So there's a person standing at the front of the truck when I come rolling in, and It may look like he's just stopping, but he actually has one of the most important jobs out of everyone. So he stops me, make sure I'm in the right position. It's key to make sure we're in the right position because everyone's staged. The guys with the air guns are on their knees. The fuel guys are ready. So it's very important, you know, I come in controlled, lined up, stop. What he's also doing is hooking up a ground to make sure we ground the truck since we're fueling for sparking issues and fire danger. This guy runs the pit. He's in charge. He's making sure everything is completed. So as they change the tire, he's watching both sides. Okay, tire guy 1 is done, 2 is done. Okay, fuel is done. And then at that point, he makes the decision, everyone is clear, and he releases me to go. So a lot of times he'll clip it on, then to be standing there holding me as we're going. As it gets closer, he usually take a couple steps back. Me and him are just locked eye contact. I know to look only at him. There's people yelling, go, 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 go. All the different guys, but that's just them saying, you know, I'm done with my job, or usually a hands up. So they're looking for everyone with their hands up. At that point, he decides it's safe. I'm cleared to leave. So simple job that is also very, very important. Next, we'll talk about a roaming kind of crew chief position. Usually my crew chief, Jimmy, or someone else who knows trophy trucks or knows the car. They're in the pit, roaming around, making sure, doing kind of quick visuals. During these Baja races, we're only stopping for 30 seconds, a few times here and there, sometimes only once. We're never gonna stop and look, you know, just come and, oh, I feel something to look, you know. It's very rare we do that. So when we come into these pits, if I'm feeling anything or if we've hit anything, we're relaying ahead of time to let this guy know, to kind of be, he's the pit leader as far as determining if the truck's good to release. Like there's no other damages that aren't hidden in a way. He's gonna start at the front of the truck, look over the front end, and then work his way all the way back, trying to, you know, sneak his way in between different pit guys and stuff who are doing their assigned jobs and just getting a visual. Okay, we don't have anything hanging, there's no wires, there's no water, you know, there's no fluid dripping. So that's usually what more of a lead guy would do versus him changing a tire or something. He's there kind of visually making sure, since he's always working on these trucks, everything looks normal. Finally, one of the most important jobs, in my opinion, is my food delivery person. So at each window, my window and Mike Kim's window, or the navigator's window, someone comes up and hands us usually a wet rag, a dry rag, some type of fluid if we want it. So like, you know, Gatorade, a Coca-Cola, some type of, you know, drink if we want it. On board we have water, so that's usually never an issue. But, you know, if we want something a little more pizzazz, you know, we'll need a little caffeine kick. They're bringing us that, and they're also bringing us snacks. You know, my personal snacks, a favorite, are baby food, applesauce. Sometimes I'll do like a bite of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But that person comes in the window, gives us our stuff. In my opinion, it's a pretty important job because they're servicing me. But most of the time, they're kind of in, out, and then I just kind of throw things out the window as I finish eating them or finish using them like a rag. And that's kind of the science of a pit. These pits, there's a lot of different strategies, different things of how to operate them. They're always changing. We're not like NASCAR or F1 where we're in the same scenario all the time, which I think does make it unique. We're working in crazy environments, whether it's the sand, the dirt, the rocks, the pavement, which kind of makes it fun. And our pit strategies are always changing to try to be one up on our competitors. But here's some of the key components on how the pit of a Baja 1000 trophy truck team works.